American division cars. The Grand American car they race is just down the road a piece getting ready to run. You see, Goodlettsville is just a stone's throw from my hometown, Nashville. And my friends Brock Yates and Steve Evans are at the Nashville International Raceway right now to bring you all the flavor of racing Nashville style. I'm Ed Bruce. Today we'll be seeing two great races, the Nashville Grand American Challenge and a mini feature race in the Grand International class. And then we'll be right back here to show you a little bit about how Wayne builds his cars. But first, we're going to the track, and Brock will tell us some about the cars we'll be seeing race today. Brock?
Thanks, Ed, and welcome to one of our favorite places on American motor racing trail, the Nashville International Speedway. Behind me, one of the Grand Am cars that are going to run later this evening and this terrific night for automobile racing here on this high bank, little over half-mile speedway. Terrific automobiles built on American Camaro-type bodies, very fast, very competitive cars. You're going to see some terrific racing. But before that, we've got a special preliminary event, from very, very interesting automobiles. I'd like to pass you on to our pal, our racing commentator buddy, Steve Evans.
The first race we'll be seeing tonight, Brock, under the lights, will feature these little pocket rockets, the cars of NASCAR's Grand International Series, a program built around the foreign and domestic subcompacts, the mini cars, the Toyotas and Pintos and Capris and Mustangs like this one. I have to crouch down or you couldn't see me and the car at the same time. But don't let them fool you. They're full-fledged professional race cars with four-cylinder power plants. They'll go a little over 100 miles an hour down the back straightaway, and with small tires like this, they can be plenty tricky to drive.
All right, thanks, Steve. And on the pole in the number 98 Capri, we've got Lloyd White. He's from just down the road a piece in Jolton, Tennessee.
And Brock, joining Lloyd in that front row will be from Madison, Tennessee, number 48, Newt Moore the fourth. He's also in a Ford product, a Mustang.
And our third starter, another Mustang, Grady Humphreys. He's come up the road from Birmingham, Alabama to run this show.
And on the outside of that second row, a very popular driver here in Nashville. This is his hometown, driving green number 38, Neil Chafin.
And starting in the fifth spot in a 2.3-liter Mustang, we've got Wayne Dennis.
Outside of the third row from the pretty village of Thompson Station, Tennessee, number 53, Johnny Thoney Jr., the yellow 53.
Todd Wickerson starts on the inside of the fourth row in car number 44.
In this Ford-dominated field on the outside of row number 4 is Stanley King, car number 37.
And yet another Ford, a Mustang this time, Charlie Castile from Madison, Tennessee.
And settling into the final and 10th spot is bearded driver Danny Eddings, wheeling car number 13, a Ford Pinto.
So as the pace car gets ready to roll out down the main straightaway of the Nashville International Raceway with a 10-car field behind him, Steve, this is an interesting little group of cars. They're kind of baby Grand National automobiles in a lot of ways.
Yeah, kind of training wheels. And with the four-cylinder power plants, a lot of which are very contemporary, right out of the cars that are parked out of the parking lot, there's a lot that can be translated in automotive technology from this kind of racing, Brock.
Absolutely so. The guys that begin here, they're, as you can see, weaving down around turn 1 to warm those tires up and get ready for the green flag. But they are an interesting field of automobiles, and it's a place to start. And earlier, Steve Evans had a chance to talk to one of the entrants about what these automobiles are really all about, technically speaking.
Well, you got 3 different classes. You got a class 1, 2, and 3. Class 1's a stock. Class 2 is what my car is right here. It's a modified, but it's straight rail. Your frame's got to be conventional. Class 3 is just modified, wide open.
So you all run together?
Yeah, we all run together. They run different weight classes. The Class 1 gets to weigh 1,800 pounds, Class 2, 2,000, and Class 3, 2,200.
So weight is the equalizer in a deal.
It is.
What would you guess to be the top speed of this car on the track?
I'd say down the back chute, about 108 to 110 at the most.
Whoa, that's fast for a little four-cylinder motor.
Yeah, that's turned on pretty good. That's fun right there.
Good luck to you, Newt.
Thank you.
So it is going to be fun here at Nashville International Raceway as the Grand International cars get ready for the green flag. We'll be back for the start.
With Brock Yates. We're back at the Nashville International Speedway. We're just about ready for the start of the first race we'll see this evening, the NASCAR Grand International cars. Little four-cylinder machine, sleek, narrow tires. It'd be very difficult to drive, but we have got a green flag, and the pole sitter Lloyd White in car 98 jumps off to an early lead. A car length back, car number 48, Newt Moore.
but the big story right now is number 0 car, that blue car, Charlie Castile. He comes from 9th all the way up to 4th place, Steve.
And Neil Chafin, car number 38, wasting no time going after second spot, trying to gun down Newt Moore in 48.
Newt Moore in that blue and white Mustang falls back into 3rd place, but trying that outside groove on Chafin. Whether or not he can get by him, we'll have to see. But at this point, Lloyd White's got himself a pretty solid little lead. But here comes Chafin right up behind him as they head down into turn 4.
Well, with 4-cylinder power, Brock, coupled with the high banks here at this speedway, I would imagine they're pretty much flat out all the time unless they're in traffic or have some kind of problem.
Oh, I would think so. And Lloyd White in that blue 98, he sure got the hammer down. But look at this. Here goes Chafin on the outside of him, and there goes Newt Moore by him as well. So it must be that Lloyd White, the pole sitter's got some serious problems. He's fallen back now in 4th place. Charlie Castile got by him as well.
Well, Lloyd White has got to have some motor problems. It's about the only thing that could go wrong this early in the race. It's certainly not a driveline. They do know shifting. So Lloyd White, the quick qualifier who was leading, is dropping back very quickly.
And we've got Charlie Castile back there in that 3rd spot in that blue car. He looks like he's puffing out a little bit of smoke as he goes into these corners, Steve.
He certainly is. You can see it right there, the blue car, car number 0. And there is 98. That is Lloyd White, and he is out of this race. A shame. He was the quickest driver here today.
Tough break. He had himself a decent little lead at the beginning, but then something went awry underneath the hood. Crew taking a peek there. I'm sure no chance to get back into this race as Chafin continues to lead. But look at this. Newt Moore, the 4th, diving underneath him, trying to get by, trying to take that lead. He may get by Neil Chafin as they come down the front straightaway. Yes, he does. Newt Moore, the 4th, got himself a lead in that blue and white Mustang, or at least what started out life as a Mustang a long time ago.
You know, you'd expect to see these cars more on a road course until just the last few years when they've become popular on the ovals.
Well, they make a great place to start because they're small displacement engines, relatively cheap to build and operate. So these cars are, as we said earlier, excellent training grounds for young drivers.
And for the mechanics, it's every bit the challenge to build a small displacement engine. There's just no margin for error at all.
Well, I'm sure Newt Moore, the 4th, in that blue and white Mustang would agree with you because he's got Neil Chafin right on his bumper. No margin for error there at all as these two drivers hash it out for the lead here. Moore seems to be able to hold Chafin off down the front straightaway, but Moore seems to be able to get underneath them a little bit as they go through the corners here on this big half-mile racetrack here at the Nashville International Raceway, one of the larger half-mile racetracks on the NASCAR circuit. In fact, it's closer to 0.6 of a mile than a half. So now Steve is caught up with our pole sitter Lloyd White, who's on the sideline.
You'd like to think you had the acceleration on everybody.
Yeah. Well, look, the car felt good, and of course the tires hadn't heated up, but it was starting to work, and everything just fell. We went through.
Now, it'll be a long season. You'll get them.
Hey, we'll get them. Thank you.
So a tough break for pole sitter Lloyd White as Newt Moore, the 4th, and Neil Chafin continue to beat on each other for the lead here in this Grand International race as they lap a slower car. Normally on the racetrack of this size, the faster cars will go to the outside while the slow cars drop down to the apron of the racetrack. So Newt Moore's got the lead and seems to be holding it pretty well at this point, Steve.
Well, Brock, the starter has got a black flag out for this guy, Charlie Castile, car number 0. His blue machine had moved up from 9th all the way to 3rd, but they are calling him into the pit area. Apparently a little smoke, and they're worried about getting some oil on the racetrack. But Charlie so far has not responded or acknowledged that black flag. He's just smoking along.
Literally smoking along. But he doesn't seem to be much of a threat at this point to Moore and Chafin, who have now extended themselves into a pretty solid lead. But Chafin keeps trying to duck underneath Moore, but Moore comes off those corners, drops down, and uses that superior speed on the straightaways to get out front and keep out front.
Well, power-wise, they appear to be very evenly matched, Brock.
Yeah, but it looks, see, Chafin seems able to move around in the corners a little bit more than Newt Moore. And Moore does, I think, have maybe a little bit more acceleration coming off the corner. See that? Extends that lead as he accelerates onto the main straightaway.
Well, they look a little like slot cars to us up high here, Brock, but you got to remember these guys are going like 100 miles an hour, and it's mighty exciting in the cockpit. You know, after on the racetrack, old Charlie Castile, car number 0, there he is. He has been black flagged, but you'd never know it. It's not smoking quite as badly as it was, but it's kind of an intermittent problem, and the starter wants Charlie in, and Charlie is just cruising along, kind of ignoring all of this.
Well, Charlie may say that they're going to have to come out and throw a roadblock out for me. I'm not going to stop under any circumstance.
Well, Newt Moore and Neil Chapin don't have any time to worry about Charlie. They got their own battle going on here for first place. He's going to try him low now, Brock. A little different maneuver on the part of Chapin.
He's been trying that a little bit, but if he can only get another couple of half a car length, he might be able to get a wheel underneath him as he goes into the corner. But at this point, Newton Moore the fourth just holds on and is doing a nice job. He's using a lot of that racetrack. Notice that he's kind of gets a little high and he gets a little low. So this youngster, Newton Moore the fourth, has shown a lot of race strategy and a lot of savvy out there. Neil Chapin's not doing a very bad job either. These kids are all right. Who's to know? We may see him in a Grand National car one of these years.
Yeah, this is kind of how you get noticed. Charlie Castile has finally accepted the message of the black flag and has taken car number 0 back to the pits. He will be out of this race. And it's really a shame because he had moved up more positions than certainly any other driver. Was showing a lot of promise to maybe slip in there for third.
Well, I'm sure these two guys aren't sorry to see Castile lead. Chapin and Moore battle it out. Castile was a solid threat in the early stages of the race, but now these two have pretty much broken away from the rest of the field. Moore holding that outside line. Chapin always a threat down low, but can't seem to get quite enough speed coming off those corners to get a wheel underneath Newt Moore the fourth. And now Steve Evans is with Charlie Castile.
Kind of embarrassing sometimes when you get that old black flag, Charlie.
Well, I don't ever see it myself. I just keep going.
I noticed that. Why did they give you the black flag, the NASCAR officials?
I developed an oil leak and it was smoking a little bit, so they black flag. Of course, I didn't see it, though.
Yeah, maybe they changed their mind?
Well, I was hoping it was close. You know, I don't have a way of telling what lap I'm on. I was hoping it was close enough that I could finish. You're allowed 3 black flags, and I was using every one of them.
Well, safety has still got to be foremost in any race.
They had the right to bring me in, and I should have come in, I guess, but I want to run, too.
Better luck next time.
So Charlie went as far as he could, that's for sure, as Moore and Chapin continue to hammer on each other for this lead, and Moore just holding on. Nice solid move there, getting around some lap traffic, but Chapin just doesn't seem to have enough horsepower at this particular point in the race to seriously challenge Newt Moore the fourth for the lead.
Well, one thing you know for sure, Brock, is that nobody is holding back in this kind of a car. There is no reserve. Look at this. It is Chapin coming down low. We are on the last lap right now. They are side by side. The Grand International cars have the crowd on its feet.
Well, now Chapin is just for a millisecond there, got his nose out front. He had the lead for a second.
This traffic is going to be a problem for Chapin. Newt Moore strategically uses that traffic. Chapin is not, well, maybe not. He's not giving up yet. Coming alongside, it is Newt Moore the fourth wins the Grand International title here at Nashville International Speedway. We'll be back to congratulate Newt and to see the feature race of the evening right after this.
Nashville Speedway. I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans and Ed Bruce as Newt Moore the fourth basked in his moment of glory after winning the Grand International Sedan race, the preliminary of the evening. Newt Moore the fourth wins it. Neil Chapin a close second. Todd Wickerson third. Stanley King and Johnny Thoney Jr. rounding out the top 5. And Steve Evans is in victory lane with the winner.
So Newt Moore, who was the track champion last year on points, you won your first big feature, really.
Yeah, this is great. I love it. First race we won here at Nashville.
Were you a little worried when Lloyd jumped out to that nice lead early?
Well, no, he was running. He was missing a little bit, and I don't know. I could tell I could pull up on both of them at any time. I was trying to find the right hole to get around them, you know.
So a little strategy involved. It looked like Lloyd felt that he could have beat you, though, had he not broke his engine.
Well, they always say that, you know. That's always the way they talk. You know?
My congratulations again on winning the Grand International Challenge here at Nashville International Raceway.
And Newt's prize money of $135 is really just a bonus on top of all the fun and excitement that he had tonight. Brock Yates is with the second place driver, Neil Chapin.
Neil ran second, started fourth. Are you pleased with that, or do you think if the race had gone a little bit farther, you might have gotten by him?
Well, he was running awful strong, and you know, you always think if there's one more lap, you've got a chance to win. So, sure, we would like to race till we got in the lead.
Was the car running about as well as you thought, or have you run quicker here?
Well, I haven't raced here much, and this is kind of a new track to me. And I raced when it was a quarter mile here, and we won a track championship a couple of times. And but on this 5/8 mile track, it's my first year on it, and so we're learning a lot, and we believe that the car's probably a little bit better than I am right now.
Well, good. Good job anyway, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks very much, Neil. We appreciate it.
Congratulations again to Newt and Neil for an exciting show in the Grand International class. But coming up, the stars of the evening, the Grand American cars, the Camaros, the Firebirds, with some top NASCAR drivers at the wheel. But first, let's go up the road to Goodlettsville, Tennessee, and Ed Bruce.
We're back at Day Enterprises in the metal machine shop. This is where the building process began for most of the Grand American cars you're seeing on the track today. The first step in building a race car is to lay out the frame rails according to the manufacturer's specifications for your make and model car. The rails are cut from 11-gauge 2x3 box tubing. Next, these pieces are put on the jig. It's kind of like putting together a puzzle. All the pieces must be cut exactly to size. The sequence used to build this frame was to lay the rear frame rail, then the cross member. The roll cage is formed and welded. Next, the mounts for the trailing arms and motor are attached. Then the A-frame, seat bracket, and steering wheel are attached. Now the frame comes off the jig to lay the floor, body braces, brake, oil, and cooling lines, and all other brackets. As you can see, they actually build the car from the ground up. The funny thing is that once they get this car put together, the next step is to tear it all down and take it to the paint shop. Before we show you that, let's say we go back to the race and see how it's running. Fellas?
Okay, Ed, we're about to see the finished product in action. On the pole, just ahead of two-time NASCAR driving champion Darrell Waltrip, is Mike Alexander. Brock Yates is down there with him.
Mike, 100 laps, you got to make a stop. You decided when you're going to stop? Early caution, late caution, or what? What kind of strategy?
Well, it'll have to be a late caution. It's still, you know, a sprint race, but it's a long race. It's 100 laps. Strategy is going to play a main key here, so we're not going to take any chances and just sort of take it easy.
Taking it easy out front, I presume.
I'd sure like to be a lot easier.
Okay, well, good luck, Mike Alexander.
Mike runs an automobile dealership here in the greater Nashville area. Is a big local favorite, as is the man beside him, Sterling Marlin. Steve is with him.
Sterling, you got a mighty quick young man next to you here, Mike Alexander. How are you going to handle him?
Just run the best we can. I'm going to try to lead right on the start if we can. Try to lead the whole thing.
Try to lead out of that first turn?
Yeah.
Good luck to you. Go get him.
All right. Thank you.
Well, the winningest driver in the history of Nashville Speedway has gone on to become a NASCAR stock car driving legend, Darrell Waltrip, two-time national champion. Brock is back there on the inside of the front row with this man.
I understand that this is a little more practice in this car. Is that right?
Well, we got 100 laps, so who knows? I just jumped in and qualified third pretty close to these two boys up here.
That's
so
pretty darn good. Have you found out where all the switches are and the instruments and whatever?
It's pretty simple. It's got gas pedal, brake, starter. Can't be too tough.
Okay. What kind of strategy?
These two boys up here, Mike and Sterling, they'll set the pace. I'm on Goodyear tires. They're on Macquarie tires. Most everybody in the field's on Macquarie tires. I got a harder tire on. My strategy is to let them kind of wear their tires down and then see what happens.
Okay, well, good luck, Darrell.
Thanks.
And let's go to Steve with a fourth starter.
Tony, you feel any special pressure with Waltrip over here alongside you?
No, not really. No pressure at all, really.
You'd look forward to maybe leading him out of turn 1 and 2?
Well, I'd like it, I tell you.
You can go for it?
I will, yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And Mike Alexander fires that big Chevy engine on his number 84 pole-sitting car. Sterling Marlin and the red number 14 moves up beside him to start the pace lap here of 100 hard laps at the Nashville International Raceway. 50 very quick miles, Steve Evans, with these automobiles. They should be able to average well over 100 miles an hour on this racetrack.
Oh, yeah, and even the drivers that are on the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, like Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin, are going to have an awful lot of fun tonight because these cars are faster on the half mile. They're lighter, they're more aerodynamic, they really get around the short track.
They sure do. They're classic American short track stock cars. You see them running in almost all parts of the nation, but the NASCAR automobiles that run in this class are a little bit more stringent in their rules. Their carburation rules are a little tighter, but they're light, fast, very nimble automobiles, and you'll see some of the best driving anywhere on a short track here at Nashville tonight with these guys.
And we're taking a big jump in horsepower from the Grand International cars at about 150 horse up to probably 600 from these American-made General Motors style V8s. No way a driver's going to flat foot one of these cars around this racetrack.
Right, Steve. Not even a couple of experts in this type of racing as we have in Alexander and Sterling Marlin. Both of them run these cars regularly all through the season, and they're, as we said earlier, they're both big favorites with this local crowd. And of course, the man in third place, Darrell Waltrip, it comes from just down the road in Franklin, Tennessee. This is the first time he's ever been in this particular automobile. When you'd say, holy cats, how can he possibly do that? He's just going to climb in here and hope he can get it around all right. But with a guy like Waltrip, he's such a pro, so poised, as we see when Steve talked with him earlier.
When Darrell Waltrip rolls out onto the racetrack tonight in the Grand American race, it's going to be a homecoming for him, and I think you'll see this entire crowd on their feet. How does it feel in a Grand American series as opposed to Winston Cup on your home track? Kind of special, I would think.
Well, you kind of view it as, in this case, as I'm here, they're racing, why not? I enjoy that type of racing. I do about 10 to 15 Grand American races throughout the summer. And of course, nothing tickles me more than to put another win in the column at Nashville.
Well, it's kind of like playing the piano. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Practice, practice, practice.
And the man never loses his balance on or off the racetrack. And we'll be back to see Waltrip and company go for the green right after this.
Nashville, Tennessee is full of
Nashville International Speedway, but not for Roger Garman. Qualified 17th. His Camaro won't start. He's being pushed off the racetrack as the field comes down to take the green. Steve Evans behind the pace car.
With Garmin back in the pit area already, that'll cut the field to 18 cars as they continue to circle around. The NASCAR starter giving them the eyeball, making sure they're lined up properly. The pace car is pulling off the racetrack. We're going to get a green.
Green it is, and Mike Alexander on the pole is outgunned down the front straightaway by Sterling Marlin on the outside pole. Marlin trying to get him by him in that yellow and red car, but Alexander, that tough little car dealer from right down here in Hendersonville, pushes down the back straightaway. He won't give up the lead, and right behind him, Darrell Waltrip in that blue and white car, and behind him, Tony Cunningham in that red Camaro.
So Mike Alexander, the pole sitter, still out in front. And now it is Waltrip challenging Sterling Marlin. Waltrip on the inside, taking over second place from Marlin.
Indeed he did, as the old pro, Darrell Waltrip, put a good move on Sterling Marlin as he dove underneath him. Marlin had no choice but to move out of the way. So Waltrip takes over second place, but his protege, Mike Alexander, has got himself a reasonably good lead, about a half a car length. That's pretty good for a half-mile track, Steve.
Well, I'll say it is, and Darrell told you earlier he was going to let Alexander and Marlin go out and set the pace, so they wore their tires down a bit. Doesn't seem to be the case. Mike Alexander has a rather impressive racing operation. I talked to him earlier about it.
Probably the most serious effort you'll find in this Grand American season is that of car owner Bobby Ray Jones. His young driver, Mike Alexander, you've won 9 out of 15 so far this year?
Yeah, we've had an awful good year. It started out that way. We won the first one, and we've just continued, so I can't complain.
All right, and also tonight, Darrell Waltrip is going to be on your team in your other car.
Right. First time I went to Daytona, he built a car for me, so I sort of feel like it's an obligation to him, and we definitely don't mind him driving that one.
Well, you're a former track champion here at Nashville International Raceway. Tonight's the first time back this year.
Yeah, and it is probably one of the biggest for me because, you know, running the national championship, I definitely want to do good home, and, you know, Darrell's going to be in it. I think Bobby's going to run, and, of course, Sterling Marlin, and I'm always, you know, hunting for the win.
Is it wise to have a guy like Darrell out there to beat you when you're running for the series?
Well, you know, he's in a number 2 car, but...
you give him the slower car?
That's right. If he beats me, he did it fair and square, but... You know, if it comes to that, we'll sure put on a race.
Well, Darrell being a local boy and yourself a local guy, Darrell's been a big influence on a lot of the drivers around here.
Yeah, he has. You know, especially when he can do it. And, you know, we've got good talent here, I feel like, and it's a good racetrack to learn on. They do real good PR work, and, you know, we just enjoy it. So, yeah, he's been an inspiration.
Well, he's going to need some inspiration because the new teammate, Darrell Waltrip, is right on his bumper and trying to dive underneath him right now.
This is Waltrip on the inside alongside Mike Alexander. Waltrip wasting no time, taking the lead now in the early going.
And now Marlin gets by him, and so does Cunningham. So suddenly the leader has fallen way back. There's got to be some problems with Mike Alexander's number 84, Steve.
Well, something's not right, Brock. So Darrell Waltrip, Sterling Marlin, and Mike Cunningham. That's 1, 2, 3. Waltrip sweeping into turn number 2. Right on his bumper, the number 14 car of Sterling Marlin. Sterling, the son of a famous race car driver, Cuckoo Marlin.
Indeed he is, and a big favorite here in Nashville. He's a local driver. both these guys. In fact, all three of them right now. Cunningham's a very prominent local driver. So we've got Waltrip just down the road, Franklin, Tennessee, certainly the best known of the lot. Sterling Marlin, a very, very much of a comer in NASCAR Grand National Racing. And back here in 8th and 9th, a good race between Tony Formosa and Mike Barrett.
And as the race wears on, some rubber applied to the racetrack, you're liable to see that high line improve and maybe be the quick way around.
Well, certainly Barrett's going to try it on Formosa right now. He's been riding a little bit higher than Formosa. Can't seem to get by him on the outside. But now, look, once again, tries him up there. But Formosa hangs low. That's a short way around this place. And he manages to hold Barrett off. But maybe now Barrett gets him. Yes.
So Barrett picks up the 8th position.
Indeed he does. Handling a little bit better in that high groove. So Mike Barrett moves out in front. Now puts a lot of room on Tony Formosa as up front, Darrell Waltrip holds off Sterling Marlin, but not by much.
Playing tag with him is Sterling.
Sterling runs this car regularly. As we heard earlier, Darrell Waltrip, first time ever in the car, so he's doing some practicing right now. This is I'm sure the car is not exactly right for him. Sterling Marlin has got his chassis set up probably pretty close to what he wants it to be, but it's a long race to go. As who knows, Sterling may be just sitting back there taking his measure.
Boy, Darrell just jumps in a car he's never seen before and blows their doors off.
Well, don't forget, he's had years and years of experience in this type of automobile, so it's not that big a challenge. And here's Mike Alexander in '84 in the pits. Car's up in the jacks making a tire change, and Steve Evans is with the crew chief.
Wayne Milstead down at Mike Alexander's pit area. And Wayne, what was the deal on that very early pit stop?
We had a tire go flat. We wasn't ready. We should have glued our lug nuts on before we left the pit area down there, and we didn't have time.
Well, you didn't expect that to happen quite so soon.
Well, you're supposed to expect the unexpected.
Well, it certainly is the quickest car out there now. If he gets a caution, he's still got a chance here.
I certainly hope so. We're going to do our best.
Thank you.
Well, they're going to have to do their best, and you can be sure that Wayne Milson's going to have a talk with that crewman that forgot to put those lug nuts on that wheel. As Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin run away from Mike Alexander after that unscheduled stop. A tough break for Alexander, who started on the pole, and now he's got some big distance to make up on the 2 leaders. As Waltrip and Sterling Marlin head into some traffic, but Waltrip seems to be able to hold on to the lead.
Well, Brock, we've got a regular war going on back for the 6th spot. That is Al Henderson in car number 75 on the inside, and Doris Vaughn, car number 2 on the outside. As good a race here as there is up front.
Well, these two drivers qualified within a few tenths of each other, and it's showing up right here. This competition is really even with all these cars.
By the way, that car number 2, Doris Vaughn, that's Doris with 2 R's. It's a guy in that car, kind of like Carol. When you got 2 R's, it's a man's name, right?
Well, if you say so, Steve.
A boy named Sue, remember that?
Yeah, I remember that song, recorded right here in this town, as I recall. But Darrell Waltrip isn't listening to any music at this particular point. He hasn't got the radio on in that 04 car, you can be sure of that, because Sterling Marlin is right on his bumper. As they move through traffic, you just can't make a false move in this kind of a situation. Of course, you don't really expect Waltrip to. Has been around 1,000 racetracks like this, and he isn't inclined to make any mistake in traffic.
And here's the race for 3rd spot. That's Tony Cunningham in the number 23 car. And the number 16 driver is Jerry Sisko. The 16 car is out. In fact, that's Wayne Day's car, the shop up where Ed's been visiting.
Exactly. And Sisko qualified up near the front and has moved up a few spots, and now he's going to challenge Cunningham. Cunningham, by the way, is a very good local driver. He doesn't campaign too much outside the state of Tennessee, but has a very, very good reputation. As you can see, what started out right with the leaders and is still up front, riding in 3rd place.
No, Jerry Sisko, he's been around the circuit a few times.
Well, you got to be impressed with all these guys. Heavy traffic all the way around this half mile, and nobody's even gotten a wheel wrong. They're not even a little bobble, Steve. Very, very poised and smooth driving by everybody.
That's right, and they're not interrupting the progress, even the slower cars of Darrell Waltrip, who's leading, and Sterling Marlin following him, both former track champions right here at Nashville International Speedway.
So, in the early going of the Grand American 100, we've got Darrell Waltrip with a very tight lead over Sterling Marlin, Tony Cunningham in 3rd. We'll be back with more of the action at Nashville after this.
It's a shop to continue with how to build a race car. One very important decision racing teams must make before they start to build the car is what material to use for the body. In Grand American NASCAR racing, there are three choices available: the factory sheet metal, fiberglass, and aluminum. It's a very critical decision to a racing team in terms of cost and the weight of the car. It costs about $1,400 to $1,500 to build a race car with a factory metal body versus about $500 to $600 for a fabricated body. Depending on how much a team can afford to spend, that's a pretty big difference. But the real difference concerns the rules governing the weight of the car. NASCAR rules encourage the use of factory metal body parts by allowing these cars to run 100 pounds lighter than cars made with fabricated bodies. NASCAR has this rule because they want the cars to be as close to factory stock appearance as possible. That extra 100 pounds over the course of a race could mean one less pit stop, which just might mean the difference in winning and losing. Let's go back to the track and see how our race is shaping up.
Well, Ed, for the lead, our race is shaping up as a beauty between two of your favorite drivers. Darrell Waltrip in car number 04, currently leading, followed very closely, a car length or so, by Sterling Marlin in car number 14.
And behind him, Jerry Sisko has finally pushed his way past Tony Cunningham to take a solid hold on third place.
The blue and white car to the right of our picture is Mike Alexander, who was on the pole, winning the pits with a tire problem. Is currently 3 laps down and trying for 6th spot.
Well, he's certainly running as quickly probably as the leaders. Notice he goes underneath Cunningham right now. But, of course, as you said, Steve, he's 3 laps down, so he's going to need a couple of caution flags to unlap himself. So at this point, all Mike is trying to do is just charge as hard as he can, stay at least in terms of lap speed up with the leaders and hope for the best. But he's going to need some luck from here on in.
And as far as our leader, Darrell Waltrip, is concerned, we see him here in the 04 car and Sterling Marlin in the red and yellow car. This is a one-race effort for them. For Mike Cunningham, a whole series could be at stake. So he's out there to finish as high as he can no matter what happens.
Indeed he is. There's a little quick move around that slower car that was smoking a little bit, but of course Waltrip's been in this situation a few hundred times, so he just kind of steered a little bit to the right and around he went. Sterling Marlin, of course, is right there, but doesn't seem at this particular point in the race to be able to corner quite as hard as Darrell. He catches up a little bit coming off the corners, maybe gains out half a car or something down the back straight, but I think Darrell's got a little edge in handling at this particular moment.
And back for the 4th place slot, Tony Cunningham in car number 23, having it out with Wayne Carden, car number 21.
Well,
he got him, took over 4th.
He sure did. It's Tony Cunningham qualified in 4th position and really ran a pretty strong race in the early going, but I would speculate he's got some handling problems, or maybe he's down on power because he's just not in contention at this point. As Darrell Waltrip in that pretty blue and white 04 car hangs on to the lead right in front of Sterling Marlin in that pretty 14 Camaro.
Don't you know right now, Mike Alexander wondering if maybe he shouldn't have taken this car.
Well, it's a luck of the draw in terms of a tire going down on you. That can happen to the best of automobiles, and often has. It's just one of those things that happens in racing. But there goes. Marlin has now gotten he maybe gotten a few feet on Waltrip now. He's a little bit closer than he was the last time we saw him. So he sure isn't out of it. Right there now on his bumper.
And what a stylish guy Darrell Waltrip is, Brock. Extremely articulate. Some of the fans, the loyal stock car fans, had a hard time getting used to Darrell being as outspoken as he is. He tells you what's on his mind.
Indeed he does, and sometimes you agree with him and sometimes you don't, but you sure know where he stands. In fact, a lot of the new breed of stock car drivers are very poised and are prepared to step up and talk to the public or to the media, like Sterling Marlin, who talked with Steve Evans earlier in the day about this race at Nashville and some other matters that were on his mind.
Sterling, you've been off running in the Grand National Circuit. How does it feel to be back at home in the Grand American car?
I'm really looking forward to it. We built a new car, got a new sponsor in Beamer Ball and Beamer Pontiac. And the car seems to work real good, and I'm really looking forward to tonight.
Got some strong young Chargers now in the Grand American Series, guys like Mike Alexander.
Yeah, Mike will be here, and Darrell will be running, and I understood it's going to be some more boys from out of state come in, so that'll be a good heck of a show tonight.
If you would, compare the Grand American Series cars as far as speed and handling to the Grand National cars.
Oh, it's quite a difference. You get in one of the Grand American cars, it's like getting in a rocket ship. You know, it's much different from these cars. These cars weigh 1,000 pounds more, and you know, the Grand Americans, I just really like driving them.
So you're telling me that the Grand American cars are faster on the short track than Grand National cars?
Yeah, the Grand Americans tonight will probably time in about a 1920, and the Grand Nationals will probably run about a 2060. So it was quite a bit of difference there, and you know, you can really feel it when you drive them too.
What kind of strategy would you have other than leading the race, pit stops and so forth, in the Grand American car tonight?
I hope it's just 100 laps all green. You know, I wouldn't want to see any cautions. I feel like my car is ready, and you know, just run wide open for 100 laps and see how it comes out.
So you don't plan a pit stop. Some do.
Yeah, some are. You know, I just have to sit back and see if I'm leading or if I'm running second where I'll be. And you know, if it's my advantage to pit and get on fresh tires, I probably will. But you know, we'll wait to race time to see how the qualifying goes and you know, how well the car works, and we'll just find out when they drop a green flag.
A handsome, well-spoken young man, Sterling Marlin. He was an all-star high school athlete as well, Brock. So was Darrell Waltrip in his high school days.
Well, their high school days are long behind them at this particular point. They've got one thing in mind, and that's to unreel these 100 laps here at Nashville as fast as they can. And Sterling's wish is coming true so far. He's had a green race, no caution flags, and it looks as if he's going to be able to run the distance if we don't see any more spins, maybe without that pit stop, because he's not given up an inch to Darrell Waltrip so far.
Difficult to say if he has the horsepower handling to get around Darrell. He may not be tipping his hand right now. Just cool and confident and hanging back in that second slot.
Well, you're exactly right. It's hard to say. He's got a man out there leading the field that sets a very fast pace, and maybe if he's got a little more power left, there's no sense in trying to get past Darrell, take a chance of breaking the car while Waltrip's forcing his way through the traffic, kind of blocking for him, and let's let him sit back there while we watch this man. Unfortunately, he's still 3 laps down, but he's worked his way back up to 6th place. That's a terrific comeback for Mike Alexander, Steve.
And his lap times are very comparable to the leaders, Brock.
Well, he's about as good as you'll find running on a regular basis in Grand American competition. Mike Alexander is a very talented young driver with a great future.
Well, here's one reason stock car racing is so very popular all over the country. This kind of a battle between Darrell Waltrip in the lead and young Sterling Marlin, the challenger.
Marlin ever trying down low, always. The way to pass on this racetrack seems to be to get a wheel under a car going into one of the corners. And look at this. He's done it.
Sterling Marlin by a fender leads Darrell Waltrip.
Indeed. Oh, boy, what a move. And Darrell doesn't want to give it up. You can see that, but he had to. Sterling Marlin just got underneath him coming off turn 4, and Darrell just couldn't stop him. What a terrific pass by Marlin. And he's got to maybe put a little distance on Darrell.
Sterling using that traffic to his advantage as he answers the question we asked earlier. He indeed could get around Darrell Waltrip when he wanted to. So this race has taken on a totally new complexion. We'll be back in Nashville right after Brock Yates and Ed Bruce back at Nashville International Speedway, where homegrown Sterling Marlin in car number 14 has extended his lead over Darrell Waltrip in car number 4.
Boy, I guess. And on a short track like this, that kind of a lead is almost like a couple of laps on a super speedway. He's really put some distance on Darrell Waltrip, and that's an impressive display of power here by Sterling Marlin, and kind of surprising, Steve.
Well, you know, Darrell said earlier before the race that he might let these guys go out like Sterling, go out and set that pacer on different tires, and he felt that their tires were going to wear out before his, and he'd hopefully make it up.
That's possible, too, and you just never know, and we obviously can't ride around inside these cars with these guys, but they will hold back, and they'll play with each other and try to figure out what the other is going to do, and maybe he is, in fact, just going to sit back there and let Sterling set the pace for a while. But it seems as if he's given Marlin a lot of room, more than he would like to. I think that if he wanted to sit back there and just let Marlin lead, he'd probably sit right behind him and really put the pressure on him all the time. So Marlin had to work the car as hard as possible. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he's moving up on him, and maybe he's ready to try him again. I don't know.
So Sterling Marlin, the yellow and red car, Darrell Waltrip now is closing that gap up a little bit. Going to put a bit more pressure on Sterling. Well, Sterling couldn't ask for a stronger or better handling race car than he's got right now as he continues to lead Darrell. Brock Yates took a good look at that car earlier.
Ground effects is a racing phrase that's generally associated with exotic machines like Grand Prix cars or Indianapolis machines, but this Grand American stock car carries exactly the same component. This fender is essentially hollow. It's really a tunnel. It carries skirts on the bottom. Inside, it's an air passage that funnels air all the way through the car, and as it runs down the racetrack, tends to suck it down onto the racing surface. This is a very advanced form of automotive technology and one that makes these cars among the most sophisticated to run on short tracks in the United States.
Well, Darrell Waltrip is starting to reel in Sterling Marlin. He's closed that gap up tremendously, Brock.
Indeed he has, and now they're in some traffic, so Sterling better pay attention trying to get around these slower cars, or else exactly this is going to happen. He bobbled just a bit. Waltrip's back in the lead, and now he's threading his way through that slower traffic and got himself about 2 car length leads on Sterling Marlin. So how quickly that situation changed. I think it was the traffic that may have balked Sterling Marlin just for a second, and Waltrip got through very quickly. Nice move by Waltrip.
Some kind of a race car driver living up to his press credentials right now as he streaks away from Sterling Marlin. Darrell Waltrip leading in car number 04.
So we have a new leader, but let's not forget this man, car number 84, Mike Alexander, pole sitter. Now he's trying to put a move on Sterling Marlin. Let's not forget, though, he's a lap down. But if he can move up, get past Sterling, then, of course, get past Waltrip, he might very well get back into contention, as I said earlier, especially if we get a yellow flag, of which we have had none today, which is very surprising when you consider the level of competition and how hard these guys are driving. There he goes. Mike Alexander slips by Sterling Marlin, so Mike still not out of it, Steve.
No, he's certainly not, and were it not for that tire problem he suffered earlier in the race, he might be in the position Darrell Waltrip is right now.
Indeed.
There's the leader, Darrell Waltrip, car number 04, and there are the flags signifying that we are halfway through this race.
And still in command, Darrell Waltrip, car 04, teammate of Mike Alexander, right back there in the car, number 84 car, still trying to make up distance. So we've got a little bit of a breathing space for Darrell Waltrip as he heads down into turn 1.
We don't even see Sterling Marlin's number 14 car now, and that indicates that he's fallen back quite a ways right now to Darrell Waltrip.
Yeah, well back in the picture, and it may be that he's having some problems because Alexander slipped by him fairly easily, and of course Darrell Waltrip's putting some distance on him. So interesting to see how this transpires and whether Sterling can make up that distance. And now Waltrip's got himself a nice clear track while Sterling's got a couple of lap cars to get by. So if there is an opportunity for Darrell Waltrip to really put some distance on the second place man, it's right now, because you can't get any more open running on a half mile than he's got at this particular moment.
It's even interesting just to watch Darrell Waltrip all by himself, the grace and the smoothness that he has in a race car. I'll tell you, that second place driver, Sterling Marlin, he's getting some very good advice from a familiar voice on his radio. His father, NASCAR legend, Cuckoo Marlin, is his crew chief tonight.
Cuckoo Sterling we got by Darrell a little bit. Now he's falling back a little bit. He's got any problems?
I kind of feel like we begin to heat some tires up. If we get a caution, we're going to change it.
Is he going to come in anyway under green or not?
No, we won't come in on the green. We'll wait for a caution.
Okay. If you don't get one, will you try to go the distance, or don't you know yet?
We're about have to.
Okay, well, good luck. Cuckoo Marlin, Sterling's dad.
So Cuckoo's going for it, as he has all his life. This is your leader, Darrell Waltrip, car number 04, cruising along with a good lead over number 14, Sterling Marlin, is way back in second place.
But you know, if his dad can help, he's going to get him up there in first. You got to love old Cuckoo Marlin. He still smiles, still has fun, doesn't take it too seriously. And it is a sport, you know, and he sure has fun doing it.
And it seems, Brock, that the real successes in this, as they call it now, a business, are the ones that still enjoy the sporting aspect.
Well, another thing about this sport is this particular kind of racing is that it's very safe. These cars are extremely sturdy and tough automobiles. The drivers are well packaged inside them, and you don't have a lot of personal injuries. You don't really have to worry a whole lot about these guys getting hurt, and that makes it a really good kind of motor racing. I mean, the idea that Sterling Marlin can go out there with his dad watching him and not worry about him getting stuffed up against the fence someplace and really getting hurt makes people a little looser, and I think also it improves the competition because the drivers can really go at it.
Well, we've got some competition right now as Mike Alexander in car number 84 trying to make up one of those laps that he lost in the pits earlier. That is Mike at 84 just behind Darrell Waltrip in 04.
Teammates, huh? Except that we've got the sort of team leader, Mike Alexander, with the substitute, the newcomer, as it were, Darrell Waltrip, leading the show. And I'm sure that Mike wishes he was on the same lap instead of one down. It's got to be frustrating for the young man because he did have such a good chance to win this race, and now he's got to just roll the dice a few times and hope he can get up in front.
The mentor and the protege going at it in Nashville.
Indeed. But at the same time, the fans love it. I mean, they're still putting on a good show, even if Alexander's a little bit down. He's still driving as hard as if he was fighting for the lead, and that's what they came to see, to watch these guys go at it on this half mile.
Well, one thing you can count on in any kind of NASCAR competition, be it Grand National, Grand American, that nobody is ever going to let up. No matter how many laps they might spend in the pits, they're going to come out and they're going to race because that's what they do.
Indeed. You know, think about Darrell Waltrip racing night after night after night, learning his trade on races like this. So stick with us because we'll be back with more action for the Nashville International Speedway and the Grand...
The hood from one of Day Enterprises' latest race cars. This is $14,000 worth of racing engine. Now, they don't actually build the engine here at Day Racing Enterprises. This one is made by Prototype Engineering in Chicago, Illinois. Depending on the gear ratio the crew decides upon, this engine will go up to 200 miles per hour. Now, down at the Nashville Raceway, it'll average about 115 miles per hour on the oval. Once it's installed, the team will take the car out to the track for some shakedown runs to see how the car handles and to make final adjustments to the engine. All in all, it takes 3 workers nearly 2 weeks to build a complete car. And when they finish, the total cost of the machine is about $30,000. There's one other thing the crew must do before they run in NASCAR races, and that's weigh the car. For a factory metal body like this, the rules state that when race ready, that means full of fuel, the car must weigh 2,550 pounds. Now, this car only weighed 2,300 pounds, so they had to add 250 pounds to the total weight of the car. They do this by attaching lead weights to the frame. By making all the cars weigh in the same, races are determined more by the skills of the crew and driver. Let's go back down to the track and watch some of those skills in action.
And we got plenty to see tonight, Ed, for sure, with the Grand American 100 unreeling here at the Nashville International Speedway with Darrell Waltrip, about as skillful as you can get behind the wheel of a race car, leading the show. Sterling Marlin, one of the young lions in the business, right back behind him in second place. And Jerry Sisko, third place, with a car out of the shop where you're presently situated.
Well, this smiling face may well be leading the race, Darrell Waltrip, but he is getting some pressure. There's a car that wants around him. His own teammate, Mike Alexander, in car number 84, was down at one time 3 laps. If he can get around Waltrip right now, Mike in 84 will be on the same lap.
Indeed, and I've got to believe that Mike Alexander is right now the quickest guy on the racetrack. Waltrip has got himself enough of a lead over Marlin, so he's probably slowed down just a couple of tenths in terms of his lap times, but boy, Mike Alexander's got to hammer down because it's the only way he's going to get unlapped is to just drive as hard as he can. But even at that, notice Waltrip just stays out front, just keeps on moving, and he's going to be a hard man for Mike to catch and even harder for Sterling Marlin to catch.
Well, Mike is having a problem getting around. In 16, Dutch Jerry Sisko is slowing down, Brock, and headed into the pits. The car out of Wayne Day's shop coming in.
Well, you know, Steve, it's possible that they gambled on a caution and maybe started with some light tanks because they're going to put some fuel in the car. They're trying to figure out whether or not they want to put on a right rear. They're not going to, so they're going to put in some fuel, but he may very well have gambled that there was going to be a caution and had to make this stop. I don't think, though, it's a routine stop because now they're going to unhook the hood, going to look underneath, and that's probably going to be it as far as Jerry Sisko's chances to win this race.
Well, this guy is having no problems at all. Darrell Waltrip in car number 04 with a commanding lead, and we are well past the halfway point in this race, Brock.
Indeed we are, and at this moment, not much chance to catch Darrell Waltrip for anybody, and certainly not for Jerry Sisko. What a nice-looking automobile, beautifully turned out, but the crew now groping around inside with some flashlights. This being a night race, they're trying to figure out, got to believe maybe it's ignition, because they seem to be looking for some kind of a broken wire. That's Wayne Day, the car builder that who's where Ed Bruce is at the present time. Jerry Sisko pretty frustrated, having himself a little drink and trying to get cooled down as the crew puts the hood back on now. Maybe they're going to try to get back out.
I think the lights from our camera down there are helping them out, Brock.
Why they need some kind of help. They're going to need some miracles at this point, because you're getting around this racetrack in less than 20 seconds. So every 20 seconds that passes that Jerry Sisko's in the pits, Darrell Waltrip's putting another lap on him. So who's to know? They may not. They may just park it at this particular point. So while he's not having as bad a luck as Jerry Sisko, Sterling Marlin has definitely fallen off the pace with that problem that his dad just described, and you got to believe that he's hoping maybe for a caution flag at this particular point, as is Mike Alexander, because that's the only way probably they're going to catch up on Darrell Waltrip, who has a very commanding lead.
Brock, he's going to get that caution flag, I do believe. Tony Cunningham, car number 23, has spun out, has the nose of the car off in the grass. He was running fifth, and here is the caution. The caution is out right now, and we're going to see some excitement in the pit area. Will Darrell Waltrip, car number 04, come in? Or Sterling Marlin running second? Wayne Carden, car number 21, in third. Mike Alexander has unlapped himself in car number 84.
So at this moment, this is exactly what Darrell Waltrip did not want. Got himself about a half a lap lead. Suddenly, that's totally nullified by this yellow flag, and it gives Sterling Marlin and Mike Alexander the big break that they were hoping for. I'd expect that Marlin, in particular, is going to get into the pits to see if they can correct that tire problem that Cuckoo was talking about earlier. Whether or not Darrell's going to stop remains to be seen, because some of these guys are trying to go the whole 100 laps without a stop.
Well, the wrecker is already over there with the hook for Mike Cunningham's car. So this yellow is not going to last all that long. It looks like the emergency crew's doing a brisk job tonight.
Absolutely. No damage done there. No blown engine or anything like that. So the track is clean. So if anybody's going to go into the pits, they better do it right now. Now, it may be that Waltrip's thinking about it. He's down low, yes. Darrell and Sterling Marlin both going to sneak into the pits. Now, we'll see whether or not Waltrip makes a tire change or just takes on fuel. You know that Sterling Marlin's going to make a change.
We have got a race going on between pit crews now for this man. The leader 04, fuel going into the tank, tires on the right side.
Yes, indeed. And there go tires on the right side for Sterling Marlin as well.
Here's where the crew chiefs really earned their pay. This is Sterling Marlin. If he can beat Waltrip out of the pits, he'll lead this race, Brock.
Indeed he will. From a half a lap down to the lead, if, as you say, he can get out first. And they just about to get him down off the jacks, and yes, he's out first. Darrell's still in the pits, so Sterling Marlin takes himself the lead.
Oh, Sterling Marlin takes the lead of this race. We are under the yellow flag. Darrell Waltrip comes out of the pit area right behind him. We've got some race on our hands.
International Speedway as the Grand American 100 unreels with a new leader. Sterling Marlin took it over in the pits as we head down for the green.
We've got the green. It'll be very interesting to see, and I guarantee you all eyes right now are on Darrell Waltrip in the back of the pack. Can he catch this guy, Sterling Marlin? The crowd favorite for sure is Sterling. He has raced here many, many times since Waltrip went on to make it so big in the Grand National circuit.
Well, you can be sure that Darrell has got the bit in his teeth now, because he had a big, big lead, suddenly disappeared on that yellow flag when his crew bobbled a little bit and didn't get him out as quickly as Sterling Marlin, who made a very, very quick change to the right side tires, put on some fuel, and now Sterling's got himself about a 5 or 6 car length lead. But here comes Waltrip.
Oh boy, we've got a race on our hands now, and don't you know, Sterling Marlin is glancing in that mirror to see if he can see that 04 car back there. He may very soon.
Indeed he may. He may have him right on his rear bumper in a couple of seconds, because Waltrip has been running so strong tonight. But right now, Sterling Marlin in the lead. He's got to be happy. He's got to be saying, boy, am I glad that caution flag came out. He better tip us out a little bit to Tony Cunningham in that red number 23, because Tony was the guy that brought it out. Unfortunately, he had a little bad luck, but I think maybe Marlin is going to profit by it because he is not seemingly giving up a whole lot of distance to Darrell Waltrip at this point. And here's a man we haven't heard of until very recently. Al Henderson came all the way up into the 3rd place. He's a lap down, but running very well in that bright yellow number 75 Camaro. Mike Alexander right behind him in 6th place. Still a lap down. That some bad luck in the pits and some bad luck early in the going has just turned against Mike, and he just can't seem to make up that distance.
Well, here you see them both in the picture. The yellow and red car, 14, Sterling Marlin, trying to catch him and retake the lead is Darrell Waltrip in 04. This is what NASCAR racing is all about in any form.
Well, the tables are really turned on Darrell now because in the early going, he had the open racetrack, but now Sterling's got a big open racetrack right ahead of him. It looks really pretty out there, and he can just choose his own line. Doesn't have to run around that lap traffic, and now it's just up to Darrell Waltrip to run harder, run faster, and run him down. But right now, not to be. Sterling Marlin has just hooked up. He's got fresh tires on the outside, and that car is running like a train.
And neither one would need a required pit stop, Brock. If everything works as it should, it'll be a race for the green flag, hopefully.
No question. They only had to make one stop maximum, take on a little fuel and change the outside rubber, which they've both done, so they're ready to go and run for the flag. But, boy, look at that. Darrell not doing it. Got to know that he's trying. I mean, if there's any point in this race that he's not toying around, he's not letting Sterling set the pace, no strategy here. Waltrip wants that lead back, and he's going to give it everything he's got to get it.
And the slower cars have been very good about staying down low and letting the leaders around. The thing a Waltrip or Marlin would worry about at this point would be one of those slower cars maybe drifting up high and pressuring them into the wall.
Indeed, but they're all doing a fine job. And there's that 75 car, Al Henderson. And look at this. That's Tony Cunningham back in it. After that spin in that red car, they restarted. Tony's not up among the leaders, but boy, he didn't quit. And right behind him, another definite non-quitter, Mike Alexander in that 84 car, still trying.
Sterling Marlin now has to contend with some traffic, and he's going to have to go high to get around these guys.
Indeed he is, but he seems to be getting through, as there's number 21, Wayne Carden, who's run a good, strong race all night, but now out of the car. He's finished. Tough break for Wayne Carden.
Carden may be done for the night, but we've got two fellows out right here, car number 14 and 04. That is Sterling Marlin and Darrell Waltrip, and Waltrip has suddenly narrowed the gap. Waltrip pulling up behind Marlin, putting the pressure on again.
He sure is, and they've both got an open racetrack ahead of him, so if Darrell's going to try to put a move on him, he's got plenty of chance. He can try him high, try him low, but this kid, this Sterling Marlin kid, I tell you, plenty savvy race driver, so he's just not going to blow by him. Sterling's going to make him work for every inch of that racetrack that Darrell Waltrip gets back.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of talk about Sterling Marlin possibly being NASCAR's Rookie of the Year on the Grand National Circuit.
He sure is, and even if he's not, he's got a great future ahead of him in any kind of racing. Sterling has got intelligence, he's got poise, and he's got a great racing background, and his dad, who I'm sure right now is down there in the pits with his fingers crossed and wondering if the kid can hold off the old pro.
Brock, both cars are slowing down. There is a caution flag out. The yellow flag being displayed to Sterling Marlin and Darrell Waltrip, and apparently that's because of debris on the track from number 21, Wayne Carden. The pace car is out. There'll be no pitting now. They'll just circle around until again we see the green. What a shootout this is going to be between Sterling Marlin and Darrell Waltrip when we come back. We are still under yellow, anticipating a green flag for Sterling Marlin, Darrell Waltrip, and rest of the field of the Grand American 100 here in Nashville. Steve Evans along with Brock Yates, and we're racing.
Indeed we are, and this is the showdown, as you said earlier. Sterling Marlin is just going to scurry for home. He just wants to get rid of that blue car on his rear bumper. He said, goodbye, Darrell. I don't want you around anymore because I'm going to get that checkered flag if I can. So not going to be that easy, though, because Darrell Waltrip's right on his tail. You got to believe that he's going to try to set him up in the last couple of laps. That is a pretty standard tactic. So Sterling Marlin's car's going to get awful wide here in the last few laps, Steve. Maybe about 3 or 4 widths wide.
Sterling Marlin will use every inch of this racetrack if he has to. That's his defense, and the only defense if Waltrip indeed has the faster car. You consider between the two of these guys, they have taken more feature wins here at Nashville than the rest of the drivers combined.
Indeed they have, and now Sterling's got himself a little bit of a cushion. He lost a little bit at the opening of this last green flag period, but now starting to eke out just a little bit of an advantage over Darrell Waltrip.
Could be the tires that he was able to get in that pit stop. It has to be. That's what Cuckoo said they needed.
Yeah, indeed it is, but of course Darrell got fresh rubber as well.
And they may be a lap or two down, but there's still a race for the third spot between Al Henderson, car number 75, and Doris Vaughn, car number 2.
Well, there's some big money up for this race, so lap down, 2 laps down, doesn't make any difference. Everybody's going to try to advance their position as far as they can before that checker comes out.
And Sterling Marlin knows there's no such thing as too big a lead over the guy trying to chase him down, Darrell Waltrip. And they are right now going on to the last lap. 1 lap to go on this big half-mile racetrack. The white flag, both drivers seeing it. This is it. Waltrip has got 3 turns left to catch Sterling Marlin.
And it doesn't look like that's going to happen because Marlin is just running away right now. He says, I smell that money. I'm coming home, Dad, with the bacon. And he takes it. Checkered flag. Sterling Marlin winner. Darrell Waltrip second. Couldn't make up that distance in that last rush for the flag.
And Al Henderson in car number 75 finishes in 3rd spot. What a last 8 laps. Just incredible racing in the Grand American here at Nashville International Speedway. And a very popular win, too, with the fans. Sterling Marlin, who literally grew up on this race. Waltrip, a product of the same racetrack. And right now, I'm sure Sterling Marlin got to be very, very proud of his dad and his crew because in many ways, this race was not so much won on the racetrack as it was in that classic pit stop. We saw Sterling Marlin and Darrell Waltrip come in together under that yellow lap. In fact, let's again take a look at the pit stop that in this race may have been the winning difference. They came in nose to tail, parked at exactly the same time. These crewmen take as much pride in their work as the drivers do, and theirs behind the wheel. Waltrip's crew, the top of the picture, Marlin's crew, the car number 14, the jackmen, the fuel guys all going to work, and down off the jack first is car number 14, Sterling Marlin, as he drives around Darrell Waltrip, and that was the difference in this race here in Nashville tonight. Incredible.
Congratulations. Fell back a little bit when Darrell got by you, but good quick pit stop, and then he could never get ahead. Did you make any chassis changes on the stop?
No, we had a blistered tire right on the start, and I was trying to run Darrell down, blistered tire. The crew did a super job. They come in and got me out ahead of them. That's what won the race. All the credit goes to them, and I just drove with them.
Well, congratulations. Super job.
Thank you.
Okay, great job. Sterling Marlin.
Well, there's a happy young man, and you can be sure his dad is very proud as Sterling Marlin stacks up a victory here in the Grand American 100, beating out one of the greats, one of the all-time greats, Darrell Waltrip. Very satisfying victory for the young man. Al Henderson, 3rd place. His celebration goes on in victory lane. Let's go to Steve Evans.
Darrell Waltrip saying that maybe he should have changed tires, but still, they don't get much better than that for 60 miles or so.
No, we were, that's Mike's car, and I really didn't intend to run tonight, and then the car came available, and I'm just glad to run as good as we did. We're competitive, and that's all that matters.
It appeared you were having a lot of fun out there chasing Sterling, too.
Well, I liked it better when he was behind me. We had our car was set up for a 100-lap race. We had on the Goodyear tires. They were set up to run 100 laps. We knew if he caught a caution late, he'd probably beat us because they're running a lot softer tires.
That was a pretty good race between the crews and the pit area, too, on that caution flag.
Yeah, they did a good job.
They sure did. Congratulations. A nice drive, though.
Thank you.
So as Darrell Waltrip steps over to have a few words with his wife, Stevie, let's go to Steve and Mike Alexander.
Mike Alexander, you sat on the pole. The first couple of laps were sensational. Then it looked like your crew was caught by surprise as you came in with, what, a flat tire?
It sure was. Real early, 2 or 3 laps, we cut down a right rear tire, and it cost us. The car was hooked up pretty well, and we went back and, put on a good show, but we blistered our tires, then had a flat 7 laps to go, so wasn't a night.
It appeared there during the middle of the race that you maybe had the quickest car out there, though.
Oh, we did. I honestly feel like it was the quickest car. We put a set of tires on that were old because we didn't anticipate any changing, that early, but You know, it was just a bad night for us.
Well, let's hope the next half of the season is as good as the early half has been for you.
It better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy, what a bunch of guys. Graceful winners and graceful losers here at Nashville. We'll be back with some final thoughts following this message.
Family and friends celebrate on the main straightaway their victory. Steve Evans has just returned from the weigh-in with some what may be alarming news for him. Steve?
Well, this is not going to make Sterling and his crew cheer, I guarantee you, Brock. As you know, there is an 8.5 pound per cubic inch rule. For every cubic inch in the engine, you have to carry 8.5 pounds of car weight. They've weighed that car, and the NASCAR officials have determined it is 67 pounds light, according to the rules, and are going to disqualify Sterling. Not only will he not win the race, he will be moved to next to last. One car had retired before all this happened, so he's really last. So Sterling Marlin won't make a dime today, and the winner is Darrell Waltrip.
So Darrell Waltrip wins it. Sterling Marlin, after a fine drive, goes to the back of the field. No victory, no money, no payday today. Bad luck.
First time they had run that car in a long time, and it's a miscalculation somewhere, but apparently it is light. And that is official. Darrell Waltrip is your champion.
Okay, rules are rules. That's a bad piece of luck for Sterling, good piece of luck for Darrell Waltrip.
And you know the crew of car number 14 is much too proud to have intentionally run this car light, a simple mistake. And you know that Darrell Waltrip will be a reluctant champion. He would have liked to have seen the checkered flag first. Al Henderson, car number 75, officially second. Doris Vaughn, car number 2, hung in there for third. Tony Formosa and Mike Alexander round out the top 5 this evening in a very exciting and unusual race. Right now, let's go back up to Goodlettsville, Tennessee, and get some closing comments from our good friend and host, Ed Bruce.
I sure hope you've enjoyed NASCAR racing Nashville style. Before we go, I'd like to thank the good people here at Day Enterprises for showing us how to build a race car. Also like to thank Brock and Steve for doing their usual super job down at the track. And I'm going home. It's always good to get home, especially when home is Nashville. I'm Ed Bruce. Have a good day.